Hello sports fans, welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 1 NFL predictions. So kicking things off on Thursday Night Football, in the season opener, we have the Eagles hosting the Cowboys. So we'll have a live watch party for this game that will start at about 8:15 Eastern Time on Thursday, so I hope to see you guys there. But kicking off the season, we have the reigning Super Bowl champs in the Eagles hosting the Cowboys. And this is a game that could be pretty good. The Cowboys offense should be good, especially their pass game, now that Dak Prescott is back healthy. Plus, they traded for George Pickens in the offseason. But this Cowboys offense does match up against a really good Eagles defense that is one of the best defenses in the NFL, and last year they actually had the number one defense against the pass. And on the flip side, the Eagles offense is also quite good, one of the better offenses in the NFL, and I think they're going to have a huge game against a terrible Cowboys defense now that they no longer have Micah Parsons. But this could be a good game. I don't really see the Cowboys winning it. I've got the Eagles fairly convincingly, 34-17. Next game we have is the game in Brazil on Friday, and that is the Chiefs against the Chargers. So this is an interesting game. Both these teams were good last year, and I think they're going to be good once again. But the Chiefs, they were great last year, making it to the Super Bowl, and I think they could be even better, because they addressed one of their biggest needs in the offseason, in the offensive line, and I think they should be a lot better. But the Chiefs offense should be good, and they face a Chargers defense that is one of the better defenses in the NFL. Then on the flip side, the Chargers offense is also very good, but I don't think they're quite as good as the Chiefs offense. Plus, they have to go up against a great Chiefs defense that is one of the best defenses in the NFL against both the run and the pass. But I'm going to take the Chiefs to get the win here. I think they're the better overall team. I do think the Chargers are good. I just think the Chiefs are a little bit better. Plus, the Chiefs, they've beaten the Chargers 7 times in a row. I think they make it 8, and the Chiefs win 24-21. Moving to the games on Sunday, beginning with the Buccaneers at the Falcons. So this is another pretty interesting game here in Week 1. The Buccaneers, they've been pretty good recently as they've won the South each of the last 4 years, but I think the Falcons have potential to challenge them for the division this season. But I think this is going to be a pretty good game. Both these teams are better on offense than on defense, and because of that, I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. Now, I am going to take the Buccaneers to get the win because not only do I think they have the better offense, I just think they're the better overall team. But I do think this Falcons team is pretty good. I'm a big fan of Michael Penix Jr., and I think this offense has a lot of potential. But while I do like Penix, he's making just his 4th career start, and I've got the Buccaneers with the win in a pretty fun game, 33-24. Next game, we have the Bengals at the Browns. So this is a game that on paper shouldn't be that close, but you never know with the Bengals in Week 1. As in the Joe Burrow era, the Bengals are 1-4 in season openers. Plus, they lost to the Patriots last season, who are one of the worst teams in the NFL. But while this isn't the best matchup, it's actually an interesting game because the Browns, they match up fairly well against the Bengals. Because the Bengals, they've got an elite offense, but the Browns' defense is definitely the strength of their team, and they could be pretty good. And then on the other side, the Browns' offense is not good, but neither is the Bengals' defense. But I wouldn't be shocked to see an upset here. I'm not going to pick the upset, but it's definitely possible, especially considering how the Bengals are used to looking in season openers. But I do have the Bengals getting the win. I think they're going to come out, look good, and I think they really want to avoid what happened last season, and I've got the Bengals with the win, 31-20. Next game, we have the Dolphins at the Colts. So this is a matchup between two teams I think are going to be decent, but nothing too crazy. I think they're going to be incredibly average. But because of that, I think neither team is great, neither team is terrible, and both these teams are pretty even, so I think this would be a pretty close game. But the Dolphins offense is going to have a good game. They're healthy, Tua's healthy, they got Tyreek Hill back healthy, and while I don't think he's going to be elite anymore, he's still going to be very good. And they face a Colts defense that isn't amazing. Now, on the flip side, I think the Colts offense could have a good game, but they're starting Daniel Jones at quarterback, and I don't think he's good enough to truly take advantage of the weakness of this Dolphins defense, which is in the secondary, because Daniel Jones is not someone who's known for pushing the ball downfield. But it's definitely possible the Colts win, especially because they're at home, but I do have the Dolphins with the win, 23-19. Moving on, we have the Raiders at the Patriots. So this is one of the tougher games for me to predict here in Week 1, because neither of these teams were good last season, winning just 4 games. But both these teams made some big moves in the offseason, hired new head coaches, and I think they should be a lot better. But this is a pretty interesting matchup. The Raiders' offense, I think, is going to be quite solid, because they traded for Geno Smith, and they drafted Ashton Jeanty. But they faced the Patriots' defense that was already okay last year, plus they made some nice moves in the offseason by signing Milton Williams, Carlton Davis, and former Raider linebacker Robert Spillane. Then on the other side of things, I think this Patriots offense is going to be solid this season, but I don't know how much success they're going to have here in week 1, especially because of the offensive line. Now, the Patriots did try to address the offensive line in the offseason, but you've got a rookie left tackle, you face a pretty good Raiders pass rush led by Max Crosby, and I could see the offensive line struggling here in week 1. Now, because of that, I am going to take the Raiders to get the win 21-17, but I think this is going to be a lower scoring game, but this is a game that can definitely go either way. Moving on, we have the Cardinals at the Saints. So, Kellen Moore makes his head coaching debut for the Saints, and he's named Spencer Rattler their starting quarterback. Now, I don't love it considering Rattler has more interceptions than touchdowns in his career, but maybe he can have a good game. But I don't really see Rattler and the Saints offense doing a whole ton against a Cardinals defense that's pretty solid, because they were already solid last year, and they got even better in the offseason after they drafted Will Johnson and signed Josh Sweat. And on the flip side, the Cardinals offense isn't anything too crazy, but I do think they'll have some success against a Saints defense that's not very good. But I have the Cardinals getting the win here. I think this game could be somewhat close if Spencer Rattler can protect the football and get the ball to the playmakers like Chris Olave. But I do have the Cardinals with the win here, 27-17. Next game, we have the Jets hosting the Steelers. So there's some really interesting storylines here for this game, especially at the quarterback position, because you've obviously got Aaron Rodgers, who's now with the Steelers, going to face the Jets, and you have Justin Fields, who's now with the Jets, going to play the Steelers. But I think this is going to be very interesting. Now, I think this is going to be a pretty close game, and I think this is going to be lower scored, because both these teams are definitely stronger defensively than they are offensively. But I think the Steelers are going to win the game here. They got to really focus on stopping the Jets' run game, which I think they're going to do, and they're going to force Justin Fields to beat them as a passer, which I don't really think he's capable of. It's definitely possible, but I'm just not a huge fan of Justin Fields and what he does as a passer, and because of that, I've got the Steelers by a score of 20-17. Moving on, we have the Giants at the Commanders. So this is a game that you might think is going to be a blowout. You have one of the worst teams in the NFL last season against a team that made it to the NFC Championship game, but I actually think this game is going to be really close. The Commanders' offense is pretty good, but I think they could have some trouble against a Giants' defense that I think is extremely underrated. And on the offensive side of things for the Giants, they have not been good in the past few years, but they signed Russell Wilson at quarterback, and he always starts the year playing extremely well. Now, the only thing for this Giants offense is they're very likely to be without star left tackle Andrew Thomas. But this is a game that can definitely go either way. As a Giants fan, I would love to pick the Giants to get the win here, and I do definitely think it's possible, but I'm going to take the Commanders. I've got the Commanders 21-20, but if the Giants pass rush can get to Jaden Daniels consistently, I definitely think the Giants have a chance to win this game. But I've got the Commanders just barely. Next game, we have the Panthers at the Jaguars. So neither team was that good last year, but I do think both these teams will show some improvement this season. Now, this is a game that is really tough to predict. But the Jaguars, they hired Liam Cohen as their head coach, and I definitely think he's going to help this offense, and I think we could see some results right away, especially because this Panthers defense isn't very good. Then on the flip side, the Panthers offense is okay, and they showed some improvement late last season, and I think they could carry it over into this year. But they do face a pretty solid Jaguars defense. But this is a tough game to predict, as I said before, but I'm going to take the Jaguars to get the win. I think their defense is better, they're also at home, and I've got the Jaguars in a close one, 26-21. Next game, we have the Titans at the Broncos. So here we get a Titans team that was the worst team in the NFL last year against the Broncos team that I think is going to be really good. Well, in this game, we get to see the first overall pick, Cam Ward, make his NFL debut. But I think it's going to be a tough game, because he faces a really good Broncos defense, and I don't see Cam Ward having much success. I do think we'll have a good year, just not in this game. And then on the flip side, the Broncos offense is good, Titans defense is okay, but I've got the Broncos getting the win here, I think fairly convincingly, 27-10. Moving on, we have the 49ers at the Seahawks. So this is another tough game to predict here in Week 1. But the 49ers, they were really disappointing last season, but I think they're going to be a lot better this season. Now, the Seahawks, they're solid, although they do have a new face at quarterback with Sam Darnold after they traded Geno Smith to the Raiders. But the Seahawks offense faces a very good 49ers defense, who I think is a little underrated entering the season, because a lot of people I think see they weren't great last year, they think they won't be great this year, but I think this 49ers defense is pretty good. And on the offensive side of things, the 49ers are also pretty good, especially now with a healthy Christian McCaffrey. And I think they'll have a good game, even against a good Seahawks defense. But this is a game that can definitely go either way. The Seahawks are at home, but The 49ers, they've won the last 3 games in Seattle, and I've got them making it 4. 49ers win a close one, 24-20. Next game we have is the Lions at the Packers. So this is going to be a great game, because these are 2 great teams. The Lions might be the best team in the NFL now that they're fully healthy, and the Packers have that kind of potential, especially after trading for Micah Parsons. But this is going to be a really good game. Offensively for the Lions, they're great. They did lose Ben Johnson, but I still think this offense is very good. But they now face a Packers defense that is also very good, especially after trading for Micah Parsons. Now, he is dealing with a back injury, although he is expected to play in Week 1. And on the other side of things, the Packers offense is also good, but this Lions defense, now that they're healthy, is one of the 5 best defenses on paper. But this is a game that I really have no idea which way it's going to go. My gut says the Packers will win, but I think the Lions are the better overall team, so I really have no idea. But I'm going to go with the Lions by a score of 31-28, but it's pretty much just a coin flip. Next game, we have the Texans at the Rams. So this is a pretty interesting matchup, because both these teams are pretty good. But offensively for the Rams, their offense is good. Matthew Stafford will be getting the start, despite missing some time in training camp with the back injury, although I do think he might be a little rusty, considering he did miss time, but I still think this offense is pretty good. But the Rams offense, they do face a Texans defense that I think is one of the best defenses in the NFL. Then on the flip side, the Texans offense is also good, but I do think they could struggle to protect CJ Stroud because their offensive line isn't great, plus I think the Rams have an elite pass rush. We saw what they did in the playoffs last year. I think they're going to have a really good pass rush this year, and I think that's going to lead them to the win. I think their defensive line dominates this game, and I've got the Rams by a score of 23-16. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, and that's the Ravens at the Bills. And we will have a live watch party for this game starting about 8:15 Eastern Time on Sunday, so I hope to see you guys there. But this is going to be a great game, and we have 2 of the best teams in the NFL and 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL meeting Week 1. And this is going to be really fun. Plus, this is a playoff rematch from last season. But offensively for the Ravens, I really like what they have. I think they're going to be great throwing the ball, great on the ground, and they face a Bills defense that is good, but I do think they can be beaten through the air. So I could see Lamar Jackson having a big game as a passer. Then on the flip side, the Bills offense is also great, but they face a Ravens defense that might be the best defense in the NFL. I definitely think they're top 2. It's between them and the Broncos. But this is a game that can definitely go either way. The Bills, they're home. They won in the playoffs, but when we saw this meeting in the regular season, the Ravens won 35-10 last year, although that game was in Baltimore. But I really have no idea which way this game's going to go, but I'm going to take the Ravens to get the win. I think they're the more well-rounded team, and I've got the Ravens by a score of 28-27. And finally, moving on to Monday Night Football, we have the Vikings at the Bears. And we will also have a live watch party for this game, and that will start at about 8:10 Eastern Time on Monday, so again, I hope to see you guys there. But this is an interesting game, and we get to see some big debuts in this game. We get to see Ben Johnson make his head coaching debut for the Bears, and we get to see J.J. McCarthy make his first ever NFL start for the Vikings. But speaking of the Vikings offense, I do think they're pretty good. I'm not the biggest J.J. McCarthy fan, but I still think this offense is good, although I do think there's going to be a lot of pressure on McCarthy here, making his first start in primetime against a good Bears defense. Then on the offensive side of things for the Bears, I think their offense is going to take a step forward this season, although it might have to wait till Week 2 because they have a very hard matchup in Week 1 because this Vikings defense is really good. But this is another game that's really tough to predict. It can definitely go either way, especially because I like the Bears defense and they're at home. But I'm going to take the Vikings to get the win. While I'm not the biggest J.J. McCarthy fan, I think they'll run the ball effectively, and obviously they've got the talent around it to make his job easier. Plus, I think their defense is going to limit what the Bears can do offensively, so I've got the Vikings in a low-scoring game, 20-17. But those are my Week 1 NFL predictions. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Be sure to check out the community tab of my channel, where you guys can vote on who you think will win some of this week's big games. But that's all for this video. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.